Hi, welcome. This is John Bradford. Welcome to the COVID-19 Lake Norman and North Mecklenburg briefing call. Today is Wednesday, March 25th. My name is John Bradford. I'm a small business owner here in North Mecklenburg. I'm also a former member of the North Carolina House of Representatives, and I am your briefing call moderator. The purpose of this call is to bring together healthcare experts, government officials, and business leaders to provide COVID-19 briefings to update, educate, and support the North Mecklenburg region during the outbreak. Just as a reminder, we're in day 9 of the President's 15 days to slow the spread. If you feel sick, please stay home. If your children are sick, of course, keep them at home as well. If someone in your household is tested positive, please keep the entire household home. If you're an older person, it's advised to stay home and away from other people. And if you're a person with a serious underlying health condition, it's also advised that you stay home and away from other people as well. On the screen, you see the CDC website as well as the coronavirus.gov website. This is a heat map of the United States. It looks as though there is at least one reported case in every jurisdiction. That's all 50 states, as well as District of Columbia, Puerto Rico, Guam, and the Virgin Islands. There have been 44,183 cases with 544 deaths. This number is actually old data because this was reported yesterday at 4 p.m. and this number is moving every day. Just a couple of federal highlights. Federal taxes are now due July 15th instead of April 15th. It's important to know that the North Carolina Department of Revenue will not impose any late penalties for state taxes that are due April 15th as long as they are paid by July 15th. Federal standardized testing is not going to be enforced by the U.S. Department of Education. All interest on federal held student loans have been waived for at least 60 days, and the President Trump administration has postponed the current deadline requiring Americans to get a real ID. There still are rumors out there, so FEMA has their rumor control website that's still available. Check the website. There's been no additional Q&A added, but if you are hearing something, check out this rumor control website from FEMA. Just to quickly hit those again, there is not a national lockdown of any kind at this time. FEMA does not have any military assets. That would all be with each governor of each state or the National Guard. Do I need to stockpile groceries and supplies? Please only buy what you need because other families may not be able to buy, a lot of food and supplies for weeks in advance. So please just purchase what you need when you need, only at a week at a time. And if you have anyone trying to send you a check or offer a check, that should raise a red flag. The government is not mailing any checks at this time. So anyone that tells you they can get you money from the government is trying to scam you. And then if there's a myth that, only folks 60 years and older can, get the coronavirus. That's absolutely not true. Everyone is at risk. So just please take that under advisement. On your screen, we are still under a state of emergency. We are still under a state of emergency here in North Carolina. There's a hotline number, and you can text 211 for assistance as long as it's non-medical related. And you also can text COVID-NC to 898-211. All this is right here on your screen before you. This morning, we have our first reported death in North Carolina. I just pulled this from the Department of Health and Human Services website. There's been 504 cases reported in North Carolina, 1 death, and there's been over 10,400 completed tests in our state. As you can see, here's a county heat map. We have 100 counties. It looks as though over half the counties have impacted. There's still some white areas, but obviously probably over the next maybe by the end of the weekend, I would not be surprised if there is some case in all counties. It clearly is moving its way through our state. The governor did announce Executive Order 120. This is his newest executive order yesterday, which closes K through 12 schools through May 15th. It bans gatherings of greater than 50 people, and some types of businesses are closed. There is no statewide shelter-in-place order at this time at a statewide level. We'll talk about Mecklenburg County in a moment. But if you have a business that you think should be exempt from a statewide order, should one come to play in the future, you can email your name, website, point of contact, and the nature of your business and why it's critical to continue operations to this email right here on your screen. North Carolina is still seeking healthcare volunteers. Secretary Mandy Cohen is looking for clinical physicians, clinical support. You can see right here on the screen, there's a website. So if you are able to volunteer because you fall into one of these categories, or if you have medical supplies, including personal protective equipment, please go to this website and register because North Carolina needs your help. Right here, the North Carolina State Unemployment from our Department of Commerce. There is a website for those who are seeking help during this COVID-19 situation, individuals who are separated from employment, individuals who've had their work hours reduced, or individuals who are prevented from working due to a medical condition or under direct quarantine. There's also question and answer for employers who might have questions about the new unemployment benefits as it relates to COVID-19. So if you have any questions, you should go to this website right here on your screen for our North Carolina Department of Commerce. Mecklenburg County, there is a stay-at-home order that was issued yesterday. It goes into effect tomorrow at 8 a.m. I know we have County Commissioner Pat Cotham on the call. She'll probably talk a little bit about that, but basically the order requires Mecklenburg County residents to remain in their homes for the next 21 days. Right now, this will remain in effect until April 16th. Of course, who knows if it'll get extended. We'll just have to take it day by day. And there are lists of essential workers that are exempt, and so you can look up that information on the county website. There have been 108 cases in Mecklenburg County. I find it interesting that the age bracket of 20 to 39 years old has the highest reported cases. 40 to 59 is about 30%, and greater than 60 is about 17%. And it's about 53% female and 47% male. And here's a map. I have zoomed in on the North Mecklenburg zip codes. It looks as though Huntersville has a handful of cases. Cornelius has just 1 or 2 cases as well. Right now, it does not look that Davidson has any cases, but again, this was as of yesterday at noon, so this is changing every moment. The point is, clearly the virus is here in Mecklenburg County, so please be smart. We are joined by U.S. Senator Thom Tillis of North Carolina. I know he was up very late last night. Thom, are you on the line?
Yes, I am.
Very good. Hey, thank you for your hard work last night. We look forward to hearing an update from you.
Yeah, you've covered a lot of things, but the only thing that I would add on the health front, John, is that anyone who feels like they're exhibiting symptoms or may have a personal desire to get tested, please do not go to a doctor or a hospital. Call your doctor, call your local health department, and receive instructions from them. We are ramping up the number of tests and really almost by order of magnitude over the course of a week. But we still need to reserve those tests for the people who are most at risk and exhibiting symptoms most consistent with COVID-19. So that's number one. The other thing is the shelter in place or the stay-at-home order in Mecklenburg County. I think it makes sense just based on the numbers reported there. But I have to relate a story. Just happened earlier this week. I had someone call me on their cell phone, obviously in a car, saying that we needed a shelter-in-place order. And I said, "What are you doing?" And they said they were out. They weren't going to work. They weren't going to a doctor. They were just out. So I would ask everybody to use common sense, tell their friends and neighbors to stay at home if they don't need to get out. We are encouraging people to go to work if they're safe settings, but help us prevent statewide stay-at-home orders by having a good portion of the population that is moving around that doesn't need to. I've got my daughter and my granddaughter and son-in-law in Cornelius 4.5 miles away from my house. We probably won't see them face-to-face for a month. I'll do a video call. We've got to start using these common sense things to make the challenges that state, local, and federal elected officials are confronting more manageable. Now, on the economic package front, we will be voting on the bill. I'm in my office. The negotiations finished about 2 o'clock in the morning. We have a consensus among Republicans and Democrats. It's going to provide financial assistance, not only augmenting unemployment checks for people who would qualify for traditional unemployment. And the governor made, I think, a good decision when he waived the 1-week waiting period and some of the requirements under the executive order. So we will be providing supplemental checks to people who would also be receiving unemployment assistance. We're going to be providing financial support to independent contractors and people who may not be covered by unemployment in an amount very similar. The final amount should be around $1,200, $2,400 for a couple, and then $500 per dependent child. That's not a loan. It's a check that will go directly authorized by the Treasury, distributed by the Internal Revenue Service. And John, you're absolutely right. There is nothing any private citizen can do to get that check sooner. Don't be scammed. You don't have to do anything. If you filed for taxes or had any tax filings in 2018 or 2019, the IRS has your tax information and it will be processed as quickly as possible. We also have hundreds of billions of dollars in economic stabilization for small businesses. If you're a small business, you decide to keep operating, you pay your employees, this loan is completely forgivable for every dollar that you're giving your employees. So if you use it to cover bills and others, it will be a low interest loan, and the terms will be worked out with the granting authority, which could be a local bank, could be a bank you're already doing business with. We're trying to mobilize the banking industry now. So there's a lot of relief. It's considered short term. We hope that we come out of this by June, that we see the peak of the curve sometime over the next month. And hopefully by June, we're trending in a positive direction and getting as many people back to work as can be done in a safe environment. And John, thank you for doing these calls. I think they're very helpful. And I want to thank my friends and colleagues on the call for y'all's leadership down in Mecklenburg County and Lake Norman.
Well, thank you, Thom. We appreciate everything you're doing for us in the country, and stay safe. And we will continue to invite you back every now and then to the calls. And if you're available, we'd love to have you. Okay. Take care. Thank you. You bet. Okay, now we're going to go to U.S. Congressman Greg Murphy, who is a medical doctor and the only practicing physician in Congress. He is also a graduate of Davidson College for undergrad. Dr. Murphy, you on the call?
I am, John.
Yeah, Congressman Dr. Murphy. How's that?
Just call me Greg. John, thank you for doing these. These are very informative, and I think it's important that people get good information, not necessarily sensational stuff that comes out from the media and everything. Senator Tillis gave a lot of good points. We've been waiting in the House literally for them to get their business settled so that we in the House can take it up. Hopefully we'll get that done today. There have been some sticking points for issues that really had nothing to do with this particular issue that were being thrown into a bill. Hopefully those elements have been removed and we can provide relief, you know, as Senator Tillis said, to small businesses and individuals as quickly as possible. From a medical standpoint, you heard that John said that there was one death in Cabarrus County. We will have more. We will have more. This is just the nature of this virus. There is a patchwork of cities and counties that are locked in place over here in Eastern North Carolina and Pitt County. They instituted one 2 days ago. I will tell you from an epidemiological standpoint, it makes no sense to do patchwork control. It needs to be an entire control, and we've been trying to work with the governor's office to get that done. But in the meanwhile, if they're not going to do it, we have to. It's going to be incumbent upon cities and counties to go ahead and lock things down as best they can. That's the best way to control this. Again, we'll just go there. We're still a year away from a vaccine. The therapeutic trials about hydroxychloroquine and azithromycin still won't come out until the middle of April. There have been some compassionate releases that we're seeing, and this is taking information that we had from the Ebola outbreak from individuals who survived that virus, taking plasma from them because those individuals had antibodies that successfully attacked the virus. And so what they're doing now in some compassionate use cases is taking plasma from individuals who've had the virus, COVID-19, recovered from that, and giving that plasma to other individuals. I think we'll see great promise there, but the problem is just the numbers and the cost. There's also an antiviral being in the works. So I'm hoping that the Senate gets something passed today and that I'm called to go either to Washington, D.C. or to give unanimous consent to a bill that will provide quick remedy to the people of the nation, North Carolina, and to each of our cities. So again, Thom, thank you. This is a tough situation our nation is in, and I would ask each of you, if you know a healthcare worker, emergency medical service worker, to thank them. These are folks on the front line. I spoke with a friend of mine in New York City. His group has 135 doctors in it. 8 doctors have been taken ill and out of the workforce, one of whom is in the intensive care unit and is critically ill. So these are the folks that are on the front line taking care of patients. So please thank them for what they're doing. And John, thank you. I'll turn it back over. Appreciate everybody on the call, and thank you for allowing me to participate.
Thank you, Congressman. Stay safe and healthy. Appreciate all that you're doing for North Carolina and for our country. Now we have North Carolina Speaker of the House of Representatives, Tim Moore, who's from Cleveland County. Mr. Speaker, are you on the line?
I'm here. It's good to talk with you, John.
Yeah, thanks for being here. We'd love to hear what's going on from your perspective in the legislature in the state of North Carolina.
Well, I certainly want to applaud Senator Tillis and Congressman Murphy for their hard work. I can tell you that, and all North Carolinians need to know that both of those gentlemen have been very much engaged in coming to us at the state level saying, let us know what the feds can do. We've come to them with questions, and they have been there every step of the way. So we are very fortunate that we have those men in Washington working for us. What I can tell you today is today was the first day we had a meeting of our COVID-19 task force. We have appointed 4 committees under that are reviewing a myriad of issues from, of course, the healthcare issues that we're dealing with, the government operations, education, and then the tax policy, regulatory issues, and unemployment. We have worked closely with the governor in the last few days to and agree with the actions he has taken to use the law we passed a few years ago to give special authority to get folks access to benefits more quickly. We are looking to see to add on whatever the federal government's going to put in there as well to help these folks. And just very, very thrilled to hear something that Senator Tillis mentioned, which was that there will be relief also for those who are self-employed. You know, someone like a plumber or a hairdresser, someone who just works for themselves that doesn't pay in for unemployment, but now may find themselves in a position where they can't work. And so we need to be able to provide something for them. So that was great news and something that we are working on as well. But the committees are bipartisan. I have appointed Democratic chairs to those committees as well, and we are working for consensus legislation. And I think that when folks have talked about that, I've pointed to what happens if you don't have consensus, and I pointed to what I guess the person in my job at the federal level, Speaker Pelosi, did in putting a lot of things that were very contentious policy issues that had nothing to do with helping during this time in that bill. And not going to the merits of whether they're good or bad positions, you know, we need to understand that this is a time that Americans and North Carolinians are expecting help, and they're not expecting politics. And so I think everybody can take note of what we're doing here in North Carolina to make sure that this is consensus legislation and it addresses the pressing needs. So just we want to hear from folks. We want to make sure that our hospitals, our nursing homes, our adult care facilities, all these places have the resources that they need to take care of folks. And as Congressman Murphy said, we've now had a couple of deaths. We all know there will be more, and we can only hope those numbers are as low as they are, and we'll keep working that way. And some more good news to share, John. And you were a part of this, of course, when you were a member of the House with us. We put aside a lot of money into the reserves to make sure we had funds to fund those rainy days, those disasters that we knew would happen. Now, I don't think anybody saw this one coming. I certainly didn't. But we've budgeted wisely. What does that mean? Well, in unemployment, that means there's $3.9 billion there in that reserve fund to be able to take care of folks so that when folks don't have a job, that they know they'll be able to get unemployment and they can get it soon. There's $1.1 billion sitting in a savings reserve account specifically for surprise things that may come out of nowhere. There's $2.2 billion in cash on hand. There's $184 million in the Medicaid contingency reserve, and there's $74 million remaining in the disaster relief fund. And that is even after we have spent money taking care of the state when there were two hurricanes that hit the state, and when we had to go in and backfill DOT funds. So I think it is. I think it says a lot about the decisions that have been made by this majority and the legislature to budget this way, that we have the funds here to take care of what we can. And it's been a very welcome breath of fresh air that we've been able to start reaching a lot of consensus to get things done.
Mr. Speaker, thank you for your leadership for the state of North Carolina, and you're just a county over from Mecklenburg, so we appreciate you being a good neighbor to us, and thank you for joining the call, and may invite you back to a future call. We're doing these every other business day, so maybe we can have you back in a week or so.
Glad to do it. Take care, John.
Thank you. Okay, be safe. I'm really excited to introduce our next speaker. I have our North Carolina District Director, Thomas A. Stith III, with the United States SBA, Small Business Administration. He's taken time out of his busy schedule because there's no doubt people are curious about SBA, et cetera. So Director Stith would love to hear an update from you here at the SBA for the North Carolina office.
John, thank you so much, and appreciate your leadership in general and on this issue in particular. We may not realize, but North Carolina has over 900,000 small businesses across the state, and they employ 1.7 million citizens. So SBA is very engaged and very understands how much they impact not only our local economies, but our communities across the state. On last Wednesday, March the 18th, North Carolina received a full disaster declaration, which allows businesses in every county in North Carolina to be eligible for economic injury disaster loans. And these loans can be to small businesses or nonprofits up to $2 million. There's a 30-year term on it. The rate on it for small businesses is 3.75%, and for nonprofits, 2.75%. And because of this type of disaster, SBA is deferring payments on these loans for 1 year. So we are encouraging all small businesses that feel that they have been negatively impacted by COVID-19, and not only directly a part of this disaster. It can be small businesses that were suppliers to impacted businesses within the community, that they move forward and apply for an economic injury disaster loan. And a real brief I will give, because of the type of disaster, we're handling it with a virtual portal as opposed to on-site response centers, as you may see with the hurricane disaster or forest fires that we have in Western North Carolina. So the website is sba.gov/disaster. That's sba.gov/disaster. There's also a 1-800 number that small businesses may utilize. That's 1-800-659-2955. It's 1-800-659-2955. And businesses can go online and not only get assistance from the 800 number, but submit their applications online. We have resource partners across the state that can assist in loan preparation. Not only SBA is providing support, but one of our major partners, the Small Business Technology Development Centers that are located at our university campuses. However, they're operating virtually now. They can help small businesses prepare their loan applications because there's financial information that will be needed before they actually apply. And just in general, what you may want to have small businesses be prepared for, the general requirements are some level of credit history to show that they have been in business, a ability to repay the loan clearly once operations begin after we pass this current crisis. And those loans that are $25,000 and below will not require any collateral. loans above that amount, there will be some discussion on what type collateral could be potentially made for the loan. But we are strongly encouraging small businesses and nonprofits that feel they have been impacted to apply now. And as I said, we have resource partners available throughout the state to support businesses that may want to apply. And as you alluded to earlier, and Senator Tillis and Congressman Murphy mentioned, there is additional assistance that is working its way through Washington now, and that will provide additional significant resources to SBA. But that will not, you will not be excluded if you move forward and apply for an economic injury disaster loan. That will not preclude businesses from taking advantage of assistance that may be coming from Washington within the next few days after the passage of the bill. So those, the economic injury disaster loans is what SBA has available at this point. There are additional resources available. Literally, while I was sitting on the call, there was information sent from SBA headquarters about express bridge loans that are now available for existing SBA customers. So those, and we're literally just getting that information while we're on this call. Those small businesses can talk with their existing SBA financial institutions that they're working with now, and they will have additional information about those bridge loans that could be made in a expeditious manner as they go through the economic injury disaster loan process. So SBA realizes obviously nationally the impact small business has on our economy, in particular here in North Carolina. We're very focused in the North Carolina District Office, and just stand ready to assist small businesses across the state. So in closing, again, we encourage businesses to apply via our web portal, sba.gov/disaster, or either call the 800 number, 1-800-659-2955. And I understand also that they have been making maintenance and repair and expansion of that website just because of the sheer volume. So we encourage people to be patient, and understand we're in a crisis mode, but SBA is responding now, and there will be additional resources to follow. Thank you so much.
Director Stith, thank you for joining, and I know you've agreed to be on our panel here once a week, so we'll talk to you next Wednesday, and we look forward to additional updates. And I do have the website and the phone number on the screen for everyone to see, so thank you for your leadership. So moving on to the town of Cornelius, we have our Mayor, Woody Washam. Mayor, would you please give us an update for Cornelius?
I sure will. Thank you, John. First of all, I want to say thank you for that SBA update. I'm a banker, and lots of questions out there coming from my customers and folks I'm running into around town as well. So thank you so much. That was very helpful. Well, with the cases increasing in Mecklenburg County, I understand we're up to 164 now. I think this stay-at-home order came at a time that we desperately needed it, and so I certainly supported that. And off we go. It is creating a lot of questions. I'm getting a lot, mainly as it relates to essential businesses. And I just want to make it clear, I don't know if Commissioner Cotham's still on the line or not, but there is a number in Mecklenburg County, stay-at-home helpline that will be beneficial. We're trying to send our folks to that just to get an appropriate clarification. That number is 704-353-1926, in case anyone out there that's listening needs to call that. And they're open Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. So I did want to make sure we covered that as well. So here in Cornelius, as I've said earlier on the calls, our town halls and our town public buildings are certainly shut down right now. To the public, folks are working inside trying to serve our citizens, but they are locked in terms of access. We really encouraging our community to remember our local businesses and each other, and check in on each other, check in on particularly our seniors that live close to, keep touch with them and make sure they're okay and they don't need anything, because the last thing we need them doing right now is going out. And so if there's something we can drop off on their doorstep for those of us that are capable of doing that and not exposing those folks, I would certainly recommend we do that. I'm delighted to see our residents supporting our restaurants. I'm trying to do that once a day personally as it relates to taking things out and bringing them home. That's going pretty well. I was in a line of 3 or 4 cars up at Harvey's last night, and it's just good to see folks supporting those businesses that that certainly need our support at this critical point. Our elderly residents, I think overall, are telling me that they're getting checked on by their neighbors, and we just need to make sure they have the food and the essentials that will allow them to maintain themselves. Even though some of our local businesses are closed, I think folks have shared that they're still individuals are still paying their hair and nail stylists, their housekeepers, and all this kind of stuff just to help them maintain themselves. Kind of good stuff we're hearing from our residents in the times of crisis here. So, and in turn, our local businesses, I think they're giving back too. A few quick examples of Cornelius Pita Pit has given away many platters to the community of their great pitas, and last week I know they brought some over to our town staff, which is very nice of them to do. I think they've also supplied pitas to the emergency room folks down at Navant, and the Cornelius Crafty Burger has provided curbside lunch all last week to our first responders who are on duty. So it kind of warms my heart to hear all that. We just need to keep plugging through these times. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Mayor. Moving to Huntersville, we have Mayor John Aneralla on the call. Mayor?
Hey, John.
Hey there. Can you hear us, John? You may have a bad connection there.
Oh, can you hear me now?
Yeah, much better.
Okay. I think I'm hitting it with my ear. But anyway, I'm going to reiterate or reinforce what Cornelius Mayor Woody Washam just said. It's been extraordinary to see how our citizens are pulling together and volunteering throughout our community, distributing food at some of the schools and checking in on neighbors, donating cash and food, and even limiting purchases of certain items at grocery stores. And I've continued to get calls from people, where do I volunteer? Can I donate blood? Where do I go? What I would suggest is if you're looking to volunteer or drop off some food, is go to the website of the particular charity, Ada Jenkins, Loaves and Fishes, Angels and Sparrows, and go to their website and sign up or donate online, drop off the food if you can. All these places are doing the best they can under the current circumstances. In terms of the stay at home, if you are in need of looking what that all means, I've posted a video on my website, my Facebook page, talking about some of the issues there. You can also go to the website for the town, huntersville.org, list all the different things in the proclamation. And at the end of the day, it's pretty much exactly what most of us have been doing. We're staying at home unless it's necessary. And I would encourage everybody to continue to do that. Within the town, there are still companies hiring. Metrolina Greenhouse hired 58 people on Monday. They're still looking for another couple hundred. In addition, just saw announcements that several of the supermarket chains are hiring. So I suggest you go to their websites as well. And then, really just we'll make it through over the next few weeks and reassess on April 16th. And we'll look forward to hopefully better news on the 16th. So that's all I have.
Thank you, Mayor, for your leadership. Very, very appreciated, and thanks for being a part of this panel always. So moving to the town of Davidson, I was advised Kim Fleming, Economic Development Manager, would join. Kim, are you on the call by chance? Kim, is there anyone from Davidson on the call? So I continue to try to reach out to Davidson to get someone to join, so it doesn't sound like we have anyone today, so we will move on. We have, of course, our local medical expert, Dr. Jack Faircloth at HMG Medical Group. Dr. Faircloth, he's in the Huntersville location. Are you on the line?
Yes, sir.
Very good. Would love to hear a quick update from what you're seeing on the at the ground level in the field.
Sure. So everything I've heard so far is accurate and up to date. Thanks to everyone for contributing. We really have the same situation from the very beginning. This is life-threatening for the vulnerable, but it will impact everyone. The main talking points today from the healthcare community is how do we still use healthcare in Mecklenburg County? What does staying at home mean? What's the status of testing, and then what to do about our stress, and I'll get started. So first thing simply is use primary care. All of the offices in Mecklenburg are open and have converted over to video visits and or telephone visits. Just contact your doctor if you have one. They will set that up for you. You'll have a time where you'll be contacted by us, either by audio and video, or just audio if that's what you prefer. If you don't have a doctor, you can continue, if you're concerned about COVID, you can continue to use the Atrium and Novant numbers that I gave out in the beginning. 704-468-8878 for Atrium, and Novant is 877-966-8268. Those are dedicated for COVID questions 24 hours. The next bit of advice is, what does staying home mean? It simply means saving lives. Just keep telling yourself, because it is accurate, staying at home is a way for us all to save lives. Starts tomorrow. How long will it be? We're about 3 weeks, we think, from our peak, and that's here locally. New York and other hotspots may be a little bit longer, but no longer than 6 weeks. So we anticipate the government, don't hold me to this, but anticipate the government to start to partially loosen on the restrictions in somewhere around 3 weeks. Testing, we are still rationing testing. The supplies have not ramped up in the ways that doctors want. So please keep that in mind as a community, as you're calling in and as you're considering testing. What has gotten better with testing is turnaround time. We're down to 24 hours in certain locations and as long as 6 to 8 days in other locations. Lastly, what do we do about stress for COVID-19? And it's the same advice as stress for anything else. First and foremost, think even if. Try not to think what if. If we think even if this happens, what do we do? Well, there's a lot we can do, and that is eat healthy, get daily exercise, call and check on loved ones, check on the needy and vulnerable, keep your distance, take breaks from the news, and remember that counselors' mental health has not closed completely. They are moved, that counseling and mental health in a big part has moved to telehealth. So contact your providers. Some of them are using free web services like we are in primary care and have converted quickly to video. Last but not least, remember to pray. Our founding fathers put it on every piece of money. In God we trust. That's where we were in the beginning. That's where we will be. So thank you.
Dr. Faircloth, thank you for being on the front line. Please thank all your colleagues, all your support staff. We obviously will not be able to get through this without your expertise and everyone around you and everyone in the medical community. So thank you, and thanks for being a part of our briefing panel. Now we're going to move it to Mecklenburg County Commissioner Pat Cotham. Obviously had a big announcement yesterday. Goes in effect tomorrow. So Commissioner Cotham, the mic is yours. Commissioner Cotham, you might be on mute.
Can Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you now.
Okay, wonderful. Well, thank you again for inviting me to be on here, and I have enjoyed listening to others give their reports. And I don't want to repeat what's already been said. I think I want to kind of spring off what Mayor Washam talked about and Dr. Faircloth about how people are responding to this. Since the meeting the other day and this was announced, I have heard from a lot of our neighbors, and I've had long talks with people and long emails with people, and I really sense that there is an overload of information, and just because there's an overload, not everyone can receive the information the same way. And I want to remind people of that. And, you know, in the beginning, you know, yesterday seems like a week ago, but I mean, I had people calling me, you know, in tears, worried about different things, and they just hadn't seen the document with all the information. And I think the more that I've been able to send the document, which is like 16 pages of the proclamation, they have felt better. But I just want to remind everyone that we need to kind of slow down and be patient, and remember that you don't know what else the person is dealing with when they're getting this information. I talked to a gentleman yesterday. They just had a death in their family. They were obviously grieving that death, and then, you know, he was very upset about this order, but he was just really grieving, and I needed to just listen to him and talk to him and ask about his family, and, you know, offer my sympathies. And then we had a conversation. But I do worry about overload. I'm also hearing about mothers who are working with their children with education, trying to do the homeschooling, that a lot of the neighborhoods, there's a lot of noise. And sometimes the noise is construction. And they're struggling with that. You know, is there a fix for that? I don't know, but it is something to think about when we are outside, to remember that families might be doing education with their children, or, you know, just to be sensitive to that during certain times of the day. And, you know, I've heard from people who are worried that they are trying to, you know, help their children with their schoolwork, maybe take care of a family, and then do their job on top of that. And then they're worried that they're going to lose their job. And I guess I would ask that businesses, employers, you know, be sensitive to that with your employees. They're doing the best they can, and maybe remind them that, you know, we're all just doing the best we can. Nobody is an expert at this. We're all in this together, and we're all trying to do the best we can to for our families and our neighbors. But there are a lot of afraid people out there, and I keep hearing from a lot of them, and I have tried to just, you know, try to soothe them. So we kind of need some virtual hand holding, I think. I think that will help. And I do also agree that in checking on people, you know, if everybody would make 1 or 2 phone calls a day just to check on somebody, maybe a senior citizen, somebody you might know, even casually, just to say, you know, how are you? Are you doing okay? Is there anything that you need that I might be able to help you get? Especially a senior citizen who may not be able to, maybe doesn't have a smartphone, maybe can't order for delivery, things like that. So I think, and I really liked, you know, the reminder that we need to be in prayer. I think that is so important, and to remind people that we're all, you know, we're all in this together. God is looking out for us. We're going to look out for each other, and we will get through this. And let's just take one day at a time. We may not get all of our questions answered today, but we'll certainly get them answered every day. So thank you. I just wanted to have that kind of a response more about the human touch of this. And that's my report.
Thank you, Commissioner Cotham. I think those are some great words of wisdom. So thank you for sharing that. Our CMS board member, Rhonda Cheek, could not join. She did ask me to give her update. Over 116,000 meals have been delivered for those that don't have lunches. If you do not have Wi-Fi at home, there is a program where they have hotspots available, and she is advised to please call your school. On the screen here, there is a hotline. The phone number is 980-343-6041, and you can call that hotline regarding meals or regarding Wi-Fi. If you do not have Wi-Fi and you need a hotspot, please call that number, and I'm sure they'll try to help you. Now we're going to turn it over to Bill Russell, the CEO of the Lake Norman Chamber of Commerce. Bill, the mic is yours.
John, I got to tell you, listening to Pat Cotham just now, you know, it's hard to really say anything more powerful than what Pat was just talking about. And I really appreciated that very inspirational message coming from her. The Chamber of Commerce, after yesterday's announcement by the county, we're getting a ton of phone calls of folks calling and asking if they are an essential business. Every business is essential, but you need to go to look at that list to see whether or not you're deemed essential by Mecklenburg County. But that's a concern for a lot of businesses. The Chamber of Commerce is having a special Focus Friday this Friday. We've got some panelists. It's all going to be virtual. Myself and Jeff Tart, who is our 2020 Public Policy Chair, and Jeff's going to be moderating. We have Kenny Colbert, who is the CEO of the Employers Association, which represents about 900 area businesses and corporations. And Kenny's going to be touching on the human resource element of this pandemic. Mike Riley, who is the CEO of the Huntersville Hospital with Novant, he's going to be sharing what's going on from a healthcare perspective. Eileen Joyce, who's with the Small Business Administration, our North Carolina district office. And then we have somebody from the Mecklenburg County Manager's Office that's going to be, again, talking about these essential businesses and what that stay-at-home order actually means to our business community. That's going to be, it's going to be a Zoom presentation, but we're going to download it much like what you're doing here and putting it on YouTube and getting it out there to not just the members of the Lake Norman Chamber of Commerce, but the community at large. On April 2nd, the Families First Coronavirus Response Act will go into effect. And we've got an area CPA, Jay Leesman, who is going to break down what that means for our business community. That too will be put on YouTube, probably be Facebook Live, get that message out to our area businesses. As Mayor Washam and Aneralla was just talking about, we are very appreciative to these individuals who are still supporting our business community. We have a lot of restaurateurs that are still open, employing some folks. You can go online at lakenormanchamber.org and see information on what restaurants are available for takeout or delivery. There is a master list at the bottom of our list put together by Visit Lake Norman, which is a comprehensive list of all of the restaurants in Cornelius, Davidson, and Huntersville that's being updated daily. We have a list of participating businesses that are having gift certificates and online gift cards that you can purchase, again, to keep these businesses going. Woody just talked about some of the really nice things that are happening with our community, people supporting each other. And I think that's what makes the Lake Norman region very special. We're a family here. We support each other. We care about each other. You have individuals coming up with opportunities to reach out. So remember when you're shopping these restaurants to tip these folks. When you have the opportunity, go out and help these folks that need a helping hand. And those that have to stay home, use this as some quality time with maybe your family and your kids. And as Pat just talked about, there's going to be an other side of this. We're going to get through it, and we'll look back on this. It's a pandemic that unlike anything in our lifetime, but we will make it through it.
Thank you for your leadership at the Lake Norman Chamber, Bill. It's much appreciated, and thanks for being on our panel. While we don't have anyone right now from the Huntersville Chamber, I do just want to make sure everyone sees that website. So if you have any questions, you can go to their website, which you see right here on the screen. Our next briefing will be Friday, March 27th. As you can tell, this call went a little longer than our other briefings, but we have really ensembled, I think, a group of people who are dedicated to try to bring you relevant information that you're not always going to be able to find on websites. And you heard Director Stith talk about the bridge loan that just came out while we were on this call together. So if you have any questions, remember, we're stronger together. We will get through this. If you have any questions or something you want to hear about, please email lkntogether@gmail.com. This concludes our briefing. Stay safe, stay healthy. Thank you.